Hello, my name is Kris, if I haven't already met you. I'm very excited to join you in a yoga class today. Before I get started, I know most of you are probably practicing from home and don't have a variety of props to use for your practice. And so there's some handy items around the house that you can use to modify like you would typically do in a yoga studio. And so if you don't have a traditional yoga blanket, you could take a beach towel like this and use it like a yoga blanket. Additionally, if you typically use blocks, you might think about textbooks or hardcover books that you might bundle together to bring the floor up to you when you modify in some of those poses. And so those are just some handy tricks that you might be able to use if you typically modify in a practice. Let's begin just by breathing into our practice, starting with a little meditation, taking those deep inhales in, 2, 3, 4, and exhale, 2, 3, 4, and breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and exhale, 2, 3, 4. Let's continue with a couple more breath cycles. When completing those, you can slowly flutter open your eyes. Bringing those hands out to either side, we'll begin with a nice gentle stretch, inhaling those arms up, maybe clasping those hands, pushing them away, maybe just releasing some energy from that head and that neck, gently nodding, yes, yes to our home practice, and then moving through center and shaking that head gently right to left. We can slowly release those hands, bringing that right hand down, extending that left arm over, stacking that left shoulder over right, either staying here or maybe finding just a little of opening in that shoulder, maybe mindfully rolling forward and back. And then returning through center, inhaling those arms up and moving to that second side. Either staying in that nice still pose or finding just a little bit of movement in that body. Inhaling those arms up, clasping those hands, pushing them away. Maybe rounding that spine, pushing those palms towards the front of the room, chin to chest, that nice C shape in that spine. Inhaling all the way up. And releasing. Well, I don't know about you, but my hamstrings are very tight from being home. And so I'm going to recommend we start with some calf smash, just releasing the fascia and the muscles in the calves. So we can take that yoga blanket or that towel and we can roll that up into a tight little cylinder. And then we can bring it right behind those knees, gently sitting back. Again, take those blocks or maybe some of those hardcover books, have it to either side if we wish to use that for some support. And we'll just breathe in here, smashing those calves. Just releasing our energy, allowing the breath to return to the body. I know many people don't actually love the calf smash, but it's one of my favorite postures. Really releasing the tightness in those muscles, those nice long muscles in those calves. And we can stay here if this is okay for our practice. We can always shift forward a little bit if it's too much on our calves, or if you wish to amplify, you could tuck those toes, making sure to move that little pinky out of the way, coming towards that toe stand for a little different version of that calf smash. And again, just breathing here, making sure we have both those nice long inhales as well as those nice long exhales, Those exhales are where we really release into those postures, so we don't want to forget those. Just another breath or two here. And then slowly we can release that blanket. We'll keep in that nice little cylinder, bringing those hands forward and just gently tapping those toes, just releasing some of the energy there. And before we move towards that traditional practice, we'll take that cylinder to the top of the mat. Slowly coming towards that standing Tadasana, bringing the balls of those feet onto that blanket or that towel. Hands to those hips, inhaling that heart up, and slowly exhaling, moving forward. We can always have that block or those books in front of us if we need that to catch the floor. Maybe bringing those fingers to the floor, our shins, or maybe that block or those books. Just hanging heavy here, getting into a little different part of those muscles of our calves. And again, just making sure we inhale and exhale deeply here. We'll take just another couple breaths. And slowly we can take those hands to the hips and inhale that heart nice and high. Slowly walking off that blanket and moving that to the side. And we can come to that nice standing Tadasana pose. Energy in the 3 points of the foot, the ball of the big toe, the pinky toe and the heel. Shoulders up, back and around, nice and open. And we can inhale those arms up to the sky. And exhale, forward fold. And inhale, flat spine. Exhale, release. Planting those hands, slowly walking back to that plank position. Fingers open nice and wide into that high five. Inhaling forward. Exhaling, chaturanga, elbows into the body. Inhaling up. And exhaling for our first down dog of our practice. And this might be your first down dog in some time, so feel free to walk that dog, maybe lifting one heel and then the other. Before we move to that nice still dog. And then slowly, we'll start to walk to the top of our mat. Inhale, flat spine. And exhale, release. We'll inhale those arms all the way up. And exhale, heart center. Second sun salutation, inhaling up. And exhale, release. Inhale, flat spine. Exhale, plant those hands. Step, jump, float through your next vinyasa. Maybe meeting in down dog on your own breath. Let's inhale those left toes up to the sky, bending that knee, opening that hip. And inhaling those left toes up and all the way through into that warrior one. Back foot to that 45-degree angle, making sure those hips are nice and even, facing the front of the studio. Maybe those arms come up over. And we'll bring those hands to heart center, engaging our core. Let's twist over to the left. And inhaling back up, warrior one. We can straighten that left knee, hands towards those hips. Inhale that heart up to the sky. And exhale, flat spine. Checking in with those hips, shifting that left hip a little bit back, that right hip forward so those hips are nice and even. And we can exhale those hands to the floor or to our shins or a block. Pyramid pose. Bending into that front knee, inhaling those arms up. And exhaling them to the floor through a vinyasa or directly to down dog. And on that next inhale, right toes up to the sky, bending that knee, opening that hip. And right toes back up to the sky, all the way through warrior one on that second side. Again, checking in, making sure those hips are nice and even, maybe that right hip back, left hip forward. Arms can stay to the hips into goalpost or all the way overhead. We can take those hands to heart center, engaging the core and twisting to the right side. Maybe giving ourselves a little smile. And inhaling those arms up, warrior one. Straightening that right knee, hands towards those hips. Inhaling that heart. And exhaling flat spine. Making sure those hips are nice and even before we move towards the floor. Pyramid pose, second side. Bending into that right knee, inhaling up, warrior one. Exhaling, windmilling those arms to the floor, all the way through a vinyasa, or meeting in down dog. We can slowly start to bring those knees to the floor, coming towards that nice tabletop position. So fingers open nice and wide into that high five. Wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. Eye gaze just a little ahead of yourself on the floor. Let's start with some cat-cows. Exhaling, curling that spine chin to chest. And inhaling, tucking those toes, bringing those heart and the hip up and moving with our breath. Exhaling to that scared cat and inhaling to that cow pose. And on our next exhale, coming back towards that nice tabletop position, let's bring those right toes back, just opening up the hamstring a little bit more here. Maybe you're rocking forward and back. We can stay here, or maybe we start to walk those left fingers forward a little off the mat. Maybe we start to bring that right heel up about hip height, trying to keep those hips nice and even. We can hang out here. Or maybe that left arm comes up to that nice spinal balance, eye gaze on the floor just a little ahead of you, not directly down. We can stay here, or we could work a little core, exhaling, bringing that elbow into that knee, and inhaling out, and exhale in. And inhale out, and exhale, and inhale. Just two more, exhale, and inhale, and exhale, and inhale, spinal balance. Dropping that hand, dropping that knee, maybe giving our hips a little shake. Right to left, just releasing that. And then moving to that second side, bringing those left toes back. Again, just opening up our hamstring here. Maybe returning through center. Maybe walking those right fingers a little off the mat. Maybe that left heel comes up about hip height. Maybe that right arm comes up, that spinal balance. Really engaging that core, belly button to spine. Hanging out here. Or taking those crunches, exhaling. And inhaling out. And exhale in. And inhale out. And exhale. And inhale out. Just 2 more. Exhale. And inhale. And exhale. And inhale. Spinal balance. And we can bring that right hand down. Left knee down. Maybe that little shimmy shake. All right, why don't we just mix in just a little bit of arm work before we move on. We can bring those right toes back and up about hip height. We'll make sure the eyes of those elbows are facing forward. Belly button to spine, eye gaze just a little ahead of you. And let's exhale down. And inhale up. And exhale. Inhale up. And exhale. And inhale up. Just 2 more. Exhale. Inhale up. And exhale. Inhale up. Either staying here, walking those left fingers up or into that spinal balance, or maybe we catch those toes, lifting our heart. Just for a nice little heart opener here. And we can release through that spinal balance and bringing that hand and knee down. Feel free to give yourself a little shimmy shake. And then second side, maybe bringing those left toes back and that heel up, making sure the eyes, the elbows are facing forward, eye gaze just a little ahead of yourself on the floor, belly button to spine, and exhale, and inhale up, and exhale, and inhale up, and exhale, and inhale up, and 2 more, inhale up, and last one, inhale up, either staying here or maybe walking those right fingers a little forward and into that spinal balance, or maybe catching those back toes, lifting the heart. And we can release to that nice spinal balance, planting the hand, planting that knee, opening those knees up mat's distance, and taking a child's pose. And coming back up through that tabletop, tucking those toes, down dog. Let's inhale those right toes up to the sky and all the way through. Warrior 2. Making sure those shoulders are directly over those hips, that eye gaze over that front middle finger. We can exhale, reverse that warrior. Either bringing the hand down, that nice long leg, or maybe into that half bind, maybe catching the thigh. And then inhaling through that warrior 2, right forearm, and bringing that left arm up to a nice diagonal. Eye gaze up towards the sky, or maybe down to that big toe. Whatever's most comfortable. And coming back up to that warrior 2. Inhaling, straightening that front knee. Finding that nice long movement forward, sticking that bum out. And then slowly moving towards that triangle, that trikonasana. Stacking left shoulder over right, hand either to the floor, or block the shin. Eye gaze directly overhead, or to that big toe on the ground. And we can come back to that warrior two. And let's windmill those arms and move through a vinyasa. And inhaling those left toes up to the sky. And all the way through. Warrior two, second side. Making sure that knee is right over that heel. Eye gaze over that front middle finger. And we can exhale, reversing that warrior. And inhaling through that warrior two. Extended side angle. Left forearm to that left thigh. Inhaling that heart up. And inhaling through that warrior two, straightening into that front knee, sticking that bum out behind us, slowly pulling ourselves forward and into that Trikonasana, triangle pose. Stacking right shoulder over left, eye gaze either up towards those fingers or down to the big toe, whichever is more comfortable for our neck. And bending into that front knee, warrior two. Let's windmill those arms and take that vinyasa. And let's step, jump, float, top of our mats. And inhale, flat spine. And exhale, release. Let's bend those knees and come to our chair pose, that nice lightning bolt shape. We can either stay here or maybe come to the balls of those feet, engaging that core, just testing that balance. And we can release those heels, hands to heart center, and let's twist to the right. Either staying here or moving all that energy into that right foot. Maybe that left heel comes up and all the way back for that twisted lunge. And then we can inhale those arms up to that nice high lunge. Let's all take our hands to our hips, bending into that back knee, making sure that front knee is nice and aligned with that back hip, and then extending those left toes out a little bit longer. We can bring those arms overhead again, and let's give ourselves a little quad and booty work with our knee dips coming down to hover for 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and hold. We'll bring that left hand down, right arm up for a twisted lunge. We can either stay here or maybe slowly tenting those left fingers and using those obliques to slowly come up towards a twisted lunge. Either staying here or bringing that right hand to that left thigh and slowly moving back. And we can stay here, or that left arm can come forward, right arm back. Slowly maybe walking those toes up. Let's see if we can get that hand through that cubby and into that warrior three pose. This is what happens in the yoga teacher's tall. And slowly we can come back up into that high lunge. And let's windmill those arms through a vinyasa or directly to down dog. those right toes can come up to the sky. Let's bend that knee, open the hip. We can either stay here or come down to that left forearm. Maybe your right finger's a little off that mat for that extreme side stretch. And then those right toes all the way up to the sky. And all the way through. Warrior one, second side. We can inhale, straightening that front knee. Hands to those hips, inhaling that heart up. And exhale, flat spine. Again, checking in with those hips before we fold down. Because I really want to get into my hamstrings today. I can either stay here, or maybe I can flex back that front foot. Just getting into these hamstrings a little bit more deeply. Just an option, not a requirement. And then slowly planting that foot back, inhaling up, warrior one. And let's windmill all the way through vinyasa. And let's step, jump, float, top of our mats. And inhale, flatten spine. And exhale, release. We'll bend those knees, chair pose. Maybe just releasing those shoulders quickly, exhaling those arms back. And inhaling forward. And exhale back. And inhale up. And last time, exhale back. And inhale up, either staying here, or maybe coming to the balls of those feet again, just testing our core strength. And we can drop those heels, hands to heart center, and let's twist to the second side. And we can either stay here or plant all of that energy into the left foot. Maybe that right heel comes up and extends all the way back for that nice twisted lunge. And then we can inhale those arms up to that high lunge. Let's take those hands to the hips again, bending into the back knee, making sure that this front knee is nice and even with those hips, maybe extending that back leg a little bit longer. We can inhale those arms up, and let's take those knee dips once more for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and hold. And we can drop that right hand to the floor, left arm up to the sky for that nice twisted lunge. Either staying here or maybe tenting those right fingers and slowly using the strength of those obliques. Coming up to the nice twisted lunge. Either staying here, taking that left arm back to that right thigh, taking that exalted warrior, cross-sitting back. Or slowly we can straighten that torso, right arm forward, left arm back. Let's find if we can get into that cubby hole again. Warrior 3, heart nice and high, hips nice and even. And back to that high lunge. We'll windmill those arms and through a vinyasa. We can inhale those left toes up to the sky, bending that knee, opening that hip. Either staying here if you did so on that second side, maybe bringing that right forearm down, left finger's a little off the mat for that extreme side stretch. And then we can bring those left toes back up to the sky and all the way through to warrior 1 on that left side. Let's straighten that front knee, hands to the hips. Inhaling up that heart. Exhaling, flat spine. Checking in with those hips before we move that forehead towards our knee into that nice pyramid pose. Second time, either staying here or maybe flexing back those left toes. And then planting into that foot, bending into that knee, inhaling up, warrior one. And let's windmill through a vinyasa. And we can come to the balls of those feet, bending those knees, eye gaze a little forward. Let's step jump float to the top of the mat. And inhale, flat spine. Exhale, release. We'll bend those knees, chair pose. And maybe we try to take a little bit more chair. And maybe a little bit more chair. And maybe a little bit more. And let's come all the way back to that nice boat pose. Belly button to spine. Maybe we take that low boat. Maybe we just flutter those legs. Oh, I was supposed to be in Tahiti now. So this is me scubaing with all those fish. And bringing those toes together, exhaling up. High boat, maybe hands to the heart. Maybe left elbow, right knee. Giving ourselves a little smile. And then maybe we come through center. Left elbow, right knee. And inhale through center. Low boat. Maybe we just cross one leg over the other. And then bringing those toes together. Exhaling up, high boat. Maybe left elbow, right knee. Maybe hovering that left leg. And then through center. Maybe right elbow, left knee. Maybe hovering that right leg. And then inhaling through center. And we can take those hands behind the thighs and just roll back into a nice bent knee pose, giving ourselves that little sacral massage. So I've eaten way too much of my quarantine food, so I know I need a little ab work today. So hopefully you'll join me. So we'll bring those feet into that reverse table position, belly button to spine, maybe hands behind the head. And we'll start with some easy yogi bicycles, opposite elbow, opposite knee. Maybe inhaling to one side and exhaling to the second. Finding that nice long twist. We don't want to cheat ourselves, bringing those elbows in too early. We want to find this nice long pose, finding this nice long twist. And we'll continue with our breath. I know you ladies got it. Maybe 4, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we'll bring those knees into the chest, just giving ourselves a little hug. We could all use a little hug right now, right? All right, but we can't be too lazy. So let's bring those toes up to the sky, belly button to spine, hands behind the head. Let's take my favorite pose, which is our happy clams. And so we can bring that left leg to a hover, left arm over that right leg, and we'll exhale the right elbow into the eye of the left and inhale down. And maybe trying for 8 to 10 on this first side. Just exhaling up, inhaling down, exhale up, inhale down. Do whatever you ladies got in you. I just can't hear you breathing, so you better be breathing. And then we'll release nice and long, find that nice long stretch. Don't worry, we have two sides. We're not done yet. And then we'll bring those toes up to the sky, belly button to spine, hands behind the head, right leg to that nice hover, right arm over that left leg, and let's take our happy clams on the second side, exhaling up, inhaling down, again trying for 8 to 10 on this first side. I know you got it, and I counted, so you better not cheat yourselves. And 8, and 9, and 10, and we'll release nice and long. I know my hips also feel very tight from sitting too much, so I'll bring those feet into those nice happy baby-like position, belly button to spine. I'll roll up those shoulder blades, hands between those thighs, and take my happy baby crunches, exhaling up and inhaling down. Again, trying maybe for 8 to 10. And exhale and inhale. And exhale and inhale. Doing whatever you have in your body today. And then bringing those knees to the chest, releasing that head, giving ourselves that nice little sacral massage. And then returning through center, our last core pose. We'll go to our Pilates 100, so we can start with those feet in that reverse table position. If you wish to amplify, those toes can come up to the sky, to a diagonal, or to that hover. Wherever we are, we want that belly button to spine. We'll roll up those shoulder blades, eye gaze towards those knees, hands out by those hips. We will inhale for 5 and exhales for 5. You can always change your leg position, whatever you choose. And so we'll start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 2, 3, 4, 5. 7, 2, 3, 4, 5. 8, 2, 3, 4, 5. 9, 2, 3, 4, 5. And extend nice and long. Maybe even moving those legs out mat's distance, knees up to the sky, and taking a little windshield wiper from side to side, just to release that lower back. And we can bring both knees to the right, slowly rolling through that fetal position, and all the way up towards that nice tabletop pose. And we can tuck those toes and come back to that nice down dog. Maybe amplifying that down dog, inhaling those right toes up to the sky, maybe right knee, right elbow, and inhale back. And maybe that knee to the forehead, and inhale back. And maybe that knee to the left, and inhale back. And just once more to the right. Maybe we take that arm balance, and inhale back. And to the forehead, and inhale back. Maybe to the left. We can extend that left leg nice and long, rolling to the right side of that left foot in the back, coming to that nice fallen angel. And then maybe bringing that left arm down, centering those hips in that heart, just finding a nice little IT band stretch here. And then knee to the heart, all the way back, three-legged. and through that traditional down dog. And then second side, left toes up to the sky, maybe left knee, left elbow, and inhale back, and to the forehead, and inhale back, and maybe to the right elbow, and inhale back, and then to the left, maybe coming to that nice arm balance. You can always use that right arm to support, maybe to the forehead, and inhale back, and to the right, extending that left leg nice and long, rolling to the side of that right foot, and into that fallen angel. Second side. And that right hand can come to the mat, rolling to the ball of the back foot, finding that nice IT band stretch here. And then bringing that knee to the chest, exhaling back, three-legged, into that traditional down dog. Let's walk those feet about mat's distance, toes off, heels in, walking those hands back into our malasana at the back of the mat. Trying to really bring those elbows into those nice inner thighs, maybe those palms of those hands towards heart center. Finding this nice hip stretch here. Again, some of us, we may not be able to come all the way down to our feet, so it's okay if we're on the balls of those feet, or if we have a prop underneath our hips just to keep us up. We can always stay here, or maybe we bring those left fingers to the floor, right arm up to the sky, hanging out here, or we can drop that right thumb, maybe coming into that nice bind, keeping that heart and that eye gaze nice and high. And we can release those hands back towards heart center. Again, we can always hang out here, or maybe we take our second side, left arm up to the sky, maybe dropping that left thumb, maybe finding that bind behind the back, lifting that heart and that eye gaze up to the sky. And we can release those arms back through heart center. So I know a number of you ladies have not been practicing your arm balances while we've been away, and I just want to give you an opportunity to practice those arm balances. And so maybe we plant those hands to the floor. We can even walk those heels in if we need to a little bit. Maybe bringing those knees onto these triceps here. Eye gaze a little forward. And maybe coming down chaturanga in those arms, we could just pick up one toe. Maybe test with that second toe. Or maybe both toes come up, just using those triceps as anchors. Finding that nice inner spiral, those inner thighs. And so you can continue to play there. But I also know a couple of you have your crane pose. And so if you have your crane pose, maybe planting those hands to the floor, tucking those knees into those armpits. And then maybe we try to straighten those arms as much as we can. Again, eye gaze a little ahead on the floor, not directly down. And I know a couple of you are practicing your jump backs, and I don't want you to neglect them. And so you can hang out wherever you are. Maybe that's the malasana. Maybe that's the crow. Maybe that's the crane. Or maybe from your crane pose, you shoot those legs back to that full chaturanga. Inhale up and exhale down dog. Feel free to pause this video as much as you want to practice those postures. And in the end, we'll all bring those knees to the floor, toes together, and take a child's pose. Giving ourselves a good 5 to 6 breaths here. And we can either stay here, or maybe we tent those fingers at the top of the mat. Maybe you lift that eye gaze slightly, and maybe you walk those fingers over to the right, planting the left palm on top of right, dropping that forehead to the floor, making sure that left bum stays nice and glued to that left heel. Nice left side body extension. Maybe slowly walking those hands through center, planting the right on top of the left, making sure that right bum is glued to that right heel, and that third eye to the floor for that nice right side body extension. Maybe walking back through center, just hanging out here in that traditional child's pose, or maybe dropping those forearms to the floor, bending those elbows, and bringing those hands into prayer position back to the nape of our neck, just releasing our triceps here. And slowly we can release and come up towards that nice seated pose. All right. Well, I know many of my ladies on the west side have been practicing their side crow. And so we've not been twisting for no reason at all. I want to make sure you can continue to practice your nice side crow. And so we'll come to the balls of those feet. It's a good thing we stretch the balls of those feet a couple times. Engage that core, belly button to spine. Maybe we take our knees that are up front and just move them over to the left. And so we can take that left hand nice and open, that high five right underneath that shoulder. Maybe taking that right hand to the back by our hips if we need this for some extra support. And then we can take that booty and we can lift it up, almost like we're belling up to the bar, and just place that onto those triceps, eye gaze a little bit forward. We can hang out here, or maybe we just test. Maybe just one toe up, right? And we just play with that. Or maybe we start to play with 2 toes up. And we see how that feels in our body. Or some of us have in our practice, maybe opening up those legs, top leg back, bottom leg out to the side, to that nice scissor pose. And so feel free to pause here and play for a little bit on this first side. And then once you're all done, rejoin us, because we have a whole second side. And so again, we can start with those knees out, nice towards center, and then open them up to the second side. Again, like we did before, we could take that right hand and that nice high five to the floor. And then that left hand over here by the hip. I might need it, right, for that extra balance. If you want to really try something, you try it without that back arm. But for most of us, we'll plant here, scoot that booty on that hip, eye gaze a little forward on the floor, maybe just 1 toe up, maybe 2 toes up, or maybe we try to scissor out those legs. And so feel free to play here for a little bit. And then once you're all done, feel free to meet me in our nice staff pose, Dandasana. Flexing those toes back towards us, crown of the head over shoulders, shoulders over hips. Hands can be rooted next to us by our hips, or if we wish to test our core, belly button to spine, maybe lifting those fingers just a little off that floor, making sure we maintain that nice long spinal balance. If we don't have that spinal balance, let's root those hands down. And maybe we inhale those arms up. And exhale, we can fold forward. Maybe forehead towards those knees. And again, that could be hands to the shins. It could be hands to our toes, the knife's edges of our feet or our heels. Or if we have a nice prop near us, maybe it's a belt, maybe it's a blanket. If we needed a little extra support, we can always take that in front, just to lengthen those arms before we fold forward. And so let's just fold here, wherever we are. And maybe just finding a little movement in that spine, inhaling up, half lift, engaging that core, exhale. Maybe inhaling up. And exhale. And maybe that last inhale up, really engaging that core before we exhale towards the deepest expression of this posture. And we can inhale up, flat spine, slowly exhaling to release. And we can bring those arms up shoulders distance and slowly start to roll down that spine, vertebra by vertebra. How slow can you go before we extend those arms out nice and long? And then maybe give those knees a little hug into our heart. And we can release that hug, planting our heels about hips distance, making sure those heels are over those knees. Maybe bringing that left heel over that right knee, flexing that foot. We could stay here in this figure four position. Or maybe we start to bring that hand underneath that thigh, maybe using that left elbow to open up that left knee to the side. We'll never crank our neck, so we make sure that that neck's nice and long. Eye gaze up towards the sky. Maybe just mindfully, gently moving that right knee in a little bit closer, only if we have that space in our body. And if we still wish to get into those hamstrings a little bit more, we could always straighten that knee nice and long, or we can keep that nice bent figure four pose. It's whatever we would like to get out of this pose for our body. If we only want the hips, it's fine to keep both knees nice and bent. And then slowly, we'll release behind that thigh and release that left leg. And then moving to that second side, flexing both feet, maybe opening up that right knee to that right side, making sure that neck's nice and long, either hanging out here, or maybe moving those hands underneath that thigh or over that shin. We could always use that right elbow to open up that right knee a little bit more. And again, if we just want that nice hip stretch, we can stay here in this figure four. Or if we'd like to add that hamstring opener, we can always extend that left leg nice and long to the sky. Again, the only actions in our hips, maybe our hamstrings. We shouldn't feel any energy or tension in that head or neck, wherever we are. And we should adjust if we do feel that. And then slowly we can release those legs to the floor, walking those heels in, making sure those knees are directly over those heels. Maybe bringing those hands into robot arms, which is those triceps to the floor, fingers up to the sky. And maybe slowly we start to walk those shoulder blades underneath, maybe lifting those hips. And we can always walk those hands underneath toward that nice bridge pose. Bringing our heart to our chin. Again, the eye gaze stays up towards the ceiling. We never look left or right. If you wish to modify this, you could always take that block or some of those hard covered books underneath your sacrum. Or maybe if we're here, we can release those shoulders, untuck those hands, and slowly roll down, vertebra by vertebra. We'll just take a quick rest here before we move on. If we prefer a restorative pose, again, we can put something nice and solid under our sacrum, or we can return to those robot arms, just tucking those shoulder blades a little underneath the body, planting into those feet as we start to roll up one vertebra by vertebra, lifting those hips up to the sky. Again, chest towards chin. Maybe walking those arms underneath, maybe catching our fingers under our body, or keeping those hands planted to the floor. Wherever we are, we can hang out here, or maybe those right toes come up to the sky. Just a little challenge. And we can drop those right toes. Maybe left toes up to the sky. And we can drop those left toes. We'll lift those hips up because I know they dropped. And then slowly we'll release those shoulders. We'll release that clasp as we roll down one vertebra by vertebra. And bringing those knees into the chest, giving ourselves that nice little hug. Maybe that nice sacral rock. Maybe shifting those hips a little to the left as we bring both knees to the right. Both shoulder blades firmly planted to the mat. Eye gaze can stay towards the ceiling, or maybe looking away from those bent knees. And then slowly bringing those knees back through the chest. And maybe shifting those hips a little to the right as we bring both knees over to the left. Again, both shoulder blades towards the mat. Eye gaze either stays up to the ceiling or slowly moves away from those bent knees. And slowly, we'll bring both knees back through center, maybe giving ourselves a nice tight little hug. And slowly, we can release towards that final Shavasana, bringing that right foot all the way out to the right side, that left leg all the way out to the left side, rolling those shoulders up, back, and around, tucking those shoulder blades just underneath a little bit, allowing no part of our body to touch any other part of our body. Maybe tucking my chin a little towards that chest and just releasing here.
And maybe bringing some more awareness back towards the body, wiggling fingers and toes, rolling around ankles and wrists. If it would feel good for your practice, you can always extend those arms and legs nice and long into this nice yoga day stretch. Maybe bending our knees, planting our feet, rolling to one side into that comfortable fetal position. Just allowing the breath to return to the back, to the kidneys. And then using the strength of the arms to slowly roll up towards a comfortable seat. With the hands towards heart center, Anjali Mudra, bowing that head to those tops of those fingers, that heart. May all beings everywhere know peace and happiness, and may my thoughts and actions contribute. From my heart to yours, namaste.